Come wish Marana a happy birthday at the annual Marana Founders Day Parade and festivities. Enjoy live music, historical and cultural attractions, and the biggest little parade in Arizona. We'll see you on Saturday, March 16th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Marana Main Street outside the Marana Municipal Complex. The parade starts at 10 a.m. Festivities follow it after. Visit maranaaz.gov/events for more information.
Dust off your camping gear and spend a night under the stars at Orame-Harn District Park starting April 20th through the following morning. Enjoy kid activities, a free movie, educational exhibits, s'mores, and a cowboy sing-along around the campfire. Earn prizes by participating in the tent decoration contest. This year's theme is The Wonder of Flight, brought to you in partnership with Marana Regional Airport. For more information, visit maranaaz.gov/recreation.
Welcome to Real Talk with the Town, where I sit down with the Marana staff to answer your burning questions about our beautiful community. My name is Terry Rosemont, and I'm the town manager for the town, so let's get started. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Real Talk with the Town. My name is Terry, and I am your host. And today on Real Talk, we're going to be talking about why should Marana care about tourism. And today I have in the studio with me, we have Stephanie Bowe, our tourism manager, and we also have Kurt Woody, our director of economic development. Stephanie, why don't you go ahead and say hello to our host? I'm sure they'll be able to pick out the difference between the two, but go ahead, Stephanie.
Yeah, hello, and welcome to everybody out there listening. Glad to be here.
Excellent. And Kurt Woody.
Good to be back to the podcast. We did some economic development pieces a few months ago, so nice to be back.
Excellent, excellent. So we got a little icebreaker for you guys, since we're talking about tourism today. Tell me individually, what attracts you when you start thinking about where you want to travel to and what you want to see? What are the kinds of things that attract you to a location, to vacation, to do a little bit of sightseeing, whatever the case may be? So we'll start with Stephanie.
Ooh, okay. Go. For me, because I still have kids at home, I am looking at family-friendly activities, things my kids will be interested in. So really, they've been driving my vacations for quite a long time. But my kids graduate in May, so I am looking forward to choosing my own adventure pretty soon.
How do you think that's going to change things for you once you have just you and your spouse out there? Well, how's that going to change things for you think?
I think we're going to be in more like an RV type setting or something where we can do road trips. And I especially want to see a lot of Arizona that I have not seen.
Excellent. Okay, Kurt, how about you? What are you looking for?
Well, I'm kind of an outdoor guy, so I kind of gravitate towards the warm, sunny beach climates and like to do the hiking and exploring historical landmarks and play a little golf. So anything on the outdoor side is good for me.
Yeah, and you're a good golfer. I've actually golfed with you.
Not true.
I am not a good golfer, but Kurt is a good golfer. So let's jump right into this. We've had this question from a variety of people over the years, and it deals with tourism here in Marana. And why does Marana have its own tourism component element to it? Stephanie, why don't you kick things off for us?
Well, I can definitely talk to the right now, and then we'll let Kurt maybe give just a little bit more history on the topic. I've been in role for about 1 year, and the biggest thing that I've seen needed about tourism is really owning our own story here in Marana. We are so different than Tucson, and we have our own unique offerings. And so owning our own story, creating our own tourism, that is just a key to our economic development here. So we've been doing it a long time. And again, we'll have Kurt fill us in a little bit. But, I just think it's not bad that we're different from Tucson, but they definitely have a different economy than we do. And so let's own that, explore that. And, when you have a great tourism economy, you have a great place to live. So let's do that.
Outstanding. So now Tucson has Visit Tucson, right? And that's kind of their thing. What is our thing? We are what?
We are Discover Marana.
There it is. Discover Marana. So Kurt, we're going to throw things over to you for a minute. How come we're just not a part of a larger tourism consortium? Why are we kind of out on our own? And I think Stephanie hit on a little bit, but if maybe you can kind of historically tell us how this whole thing got started.
Yes, well, Stephanie is spot on about laser focusing our efforts on our own local tourism assets here within the town and then a little bit outside of the town as well. So this started about 10 years ago. We were invited to join the regional tourism agency, and that started the discussions with them and also internally as well. After some analysis of what would be the best decision for the town of Marana, we decided to use our bed tax dollars, which, by the way, anytime someone stays in a hotel in the town of Marana, it creates a bed tax, and that goes into a separate fund, and it is directed by state statute to be spent on tourism-related activities and or facilities. So we decided to take those bed tax dollars and start our own tourism department with that so that we could, again, as Stephanie said, laser focus on telling our own story, marketing our own assets, and we've done that now for the past 10 years.
Outstanding. So now we kind of know how this whole thing started, and now let's talk a little bit about what you're focused on and what are some of the, let's start with, what would you say are some of the main attractions in Marana? When people come here, what are the things they should be looking for?
Oh boy, it's everything outdoors, right? The hiking, biking, golfing, we've got it. And I think we are uniquely positioned as an outdoor activities and outdoor lifestyle location. In addition to great shopping at the premium outlets, you've got every major brand that you want to go shop at, we have at that facility as well. I think those are our main things. And then the cultural and historical background of our town and area.
Absolutely.
And we haven't, honestly haven't done a great job of marketing all of that to people and really exposing those stories. And that's where I'm really excited about the next phases of tourism in our community. We have a lot of great ideas amongst council and mayor and internally about what we would like to see developed. And that's why we're launching into tourism master planning.
Excellent. Now, let me ask you this, Stephanie. Have you had an opportunity to meet with our new cultural heritage specialist, Jill? And how do you see that position kind of interrelating with the things you were just talking about relative to the history of our community?
Oh, yes. Hopefully you've had Jill on a podcast or you're going to, because she is just amazing. I love meeting with her and talking to her. The two of us together might be dangerous. We have a lot of ideas together.
I like that, though.
Yeah, yes. I do too. It's so fun. We just kind of get caught up in all of these ideas. And obviously, we want to do things that everybody else wants to do too, right? But I think we have a great start with her being on staff. We're so lucky that we found someone as talented and amazing as her to join the team.
She is absolutely a gem. We're going to do everything we can to hold on to her. She seems to really be enjoying the job. So, Kurt, what do you kind of talk to people about when you mention Marana and things to do here?
Well, everything that Stephanie said, that I think it depends on the type of tourist sector that you belong to. There are people that travel and they're part of that foodie group. They want to dine and discover the different cuisines that you have, especially the local mom and pop restaurants. There are the outdoors, which Stephanie mentioned, which is the biking and the hiking and golf. And there's the luxury traveler as well. There's a Ritz-Carlton that has hit the Forbes 5-star rating for about the last 4 or 5 years in a row. And that includes not only the resort, but the spa as well, which is very rare indeed. So, yeah, if there's a lot to do depending on which sector you kind of fall into.
Excellent. So let's talk a little bit about some of the things that Discover Marana has been up to. What kind of initiatives or programs or things do you guys have going on right now that you can maybe tell our listeners about?
Yeah, some of the things that we've been working on is the Taste of Marana program, which is highlighting the great restaurants we already have in the community. And I think we've mentioned it on a previous podcast. Always looking for nominations for more of those. We've also been working really hard to really build the foundations of what our story is. So a really good, robust website. So as a visitor, when you come to that website, you're planning your trip right there on our website. That has been launched in November. Our website is beautiful if you've had a chance to check it out. We've also put up marketing materials at the Tucson Premium outlets in some of the windows there, and are continuing working on that. So really, we have been very focused on those foundations. And now, as I mentioned, we're embarking on tourism master planning, which will be a 10-year strategic roadmap for us to really develop the attractions and highlight what we've already got. And that's where we're asking for our friends and neighbors and visitors to take a survey with us to really help us drill down into what do we need to bring, what do we need to attract, because when we have, again, a great tourism economy, we have a great place to live.
So you're really seeking the input of our community for this 10-year tourism master plan.
Absolutely. And the survey is really just the beginning. We also are doing focus groups, and we'll have community check-ins. So we're working on this all year long.
Good. So, Kurt, I'm going to turn to you for a second on an initiative I know that you guys have been involved in. And I think the recognition of some of our local restaurants has gone over really well, and love the first couple of restaurants that have been nominated. Look forward to some more. But let's talk about a thing that was started up a while back, the Restaurant Recruitment Task Force. Tell us how that's going, because honestly, I still get asked that a lot. When are the new restaurants coming? So tell us a little bit about that endeavor and how things are going for us.
Well, that actually was developed through you, Terry, about almost a year ago at this time, when we were looking at the types of amenities we needed up in North Marana. So depending on where you're standing in Marana, could be different types of needs of businesses, retail, restaurants, and that type of thing. So up in North Marana, which is really exploding right now in the population, the home sales are very good up here. We have very few amenities. In fact, we're just now getting our first grocery store that we've been promising for the last 15 years, which is a great anchor, and it will attract other retail
Have you seen how far along they are with the construction?
They have double crewed that. They're going to be done with this
doing a
pretty fast.
fantastic job.
Yeah, it's a great project. So we started looking at how can we attract the restaurants to North Marana and really the middle part of Marana as well, Twin Peaks and I-10. And we put together this task force. You did put together this task force. We all went out separately and started contacting different business owners, restaurant owners, to see what it would take. And boy, did we learn a lot. We learned just how difficult it is to expand a restaurant to the second location, the third location. And most of the smaller restaurants, it's just prohibitive. If there's not an existing restaurant that has vacated a facility where another one can move right in, it's almost impossible to do a ground-up build to build a restaurant at the expense that it is today for construction costs and the kitchen equipment alone just in the back. So we learned a lot about how difficult that was. We did generate a lot of interest. We've been talking to these restaurant owners and circling back with them. We are getting some traction, but it just takes a long time to make that happen. They first have to decide, okay, I'm now coming to North Marana, and then to get through that process of plans, development, build, and open. And that's at least 2 years.
Yeah. You hit the nail on the head. What an education we have gotten in the last year on opening a restaurant, just how difficult it is, the challenging times that it is right now for restaurateurs to do that. I still remain a little bit surprised that some national chains like great steakhouse like a Sullivan's or something like that hasn't gone in at like Twin Peaks and I-10 at the mall site. Still baffles me. I mean, I think it's a perfect site, but what do I know? But yeah, I appreciate you guys continuing to champion the cause to get great restaurants, great families, sit-down restaurants in our community. So keep up the good work there.
There's an easier way to get your rec on in Marana. Download the Marana Parks and Recreation app today to learn about parks and trails, request reservations, and register for programs. Don't miss out on a fun time. Available in the App Store for Apple and Android phones.
People lose their valuables every day simply because they forget to lock their car doors. Don't be another statistic. Remove all your belongings anytime you leave your car, including valuables and weapons. This is a message from the Marana Police Department, reminding all residents to lock it or lose it.
Typically our supervisor's goal is to have us respond to something within a half an hour.
From road debris and potholes to water leaks, the Town of Marana is on it. Don't let a problem go unnoticed. Download the My Marana app for Android or Apple phones and do good today.
So let's shift gears. And speaking of gears, we had a couple of bike races recently.
I see what you did there.
Yeah, did you see that? Yeah, that was clever.
Yeah.
Not really, but let's go with it anyway. So a couple of really cool bike races, something we haven't had here for a while, other than the El Tour de Tucson. But tell me a little bit about these bike events and how they happen to come to our community.
Well, I am really excited about the future of these events in Marana as well. So the way they came to us was because we've opened up the doors with Oro Valley and really talked about our complementary economies, right? We have the same things to offer the community, right, as far as outdoor activity and adventures. And so we're only stronger together, and building relationships is a big part of the foundations of what I do in my work. And so Oro Valley brought us one stage of the Tucson Bicycle Classic. And so we had the time trial here in Marana right off of Tangerine in February. And so that's a 3-stage race. So one stage was here in Marana, one was in Sahuarita, and the other was in Oro Valley, kind of that finishing race. And so this was a test to see how that would go. It was a lot of fun. I learned a lot about professional cycling that I didn't know. And I think a lot of other people did too. So seeing the time trial, you had 600 professional racers who ride very expensive time trial bikes. And so they were, taking off every 30 seconds all day long. It was a lot of fun to watch. And when I figured out all the math, that really was a good driver of our economy that day. So those riders were getting...
How so? Yeah. Tell us about how so. Because I think people are kind of like, well, this is so inconvenient. You got these bike riders. You got to slow down for them. La, 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 la. Right? So why is it a benefit to our community that we attract races like this?
Yeah, so that each and every one of the folks involved in that needed a place to stay, and so the race organizers, definitely put all of our hotels front and center. And Discover Marana has a fantastic, where to stay page that we shared with all of those folks. And each of them, it wasn't just the rider; it was their team, their support network, their at minimum, we had 1,200 people that day, but I know there was much more. So we're just kind of waiting on those
family and other folks that come along with.
Yeah, and they have to eat. They have to buy their Gatorade. Each of them too, after their time trial, would ride probably another 100 miles that day in their training, which blows my mind. So they were riding all around Marana, stopping in and grabbing something to eat, hanging out in the shade, and just really, forgive this, but they were discovering Marana. And everyone that
I see what you did there.
I know.
I see what you did there.
So many of them said, this road is beautiful. You guys have the best roads. It's really the secret that these riders are using our roads already for their training. So one of the teams called Project Echelon actually held what's called a Fondo that following weekend. And that was a nonprofit ride for veterans. And I'm telling you, these riders, they had been in or headed to Portugal. They had been to France and Spain on, doing races. They're from all over the world, and they're right here. So, really being that welcoming community to these folks, I think is going to be a great long-term strategy for us.
And there are a lot of bike racing fans, and I know there were. I saw the number of people and cars and stuff that were parked down there. There were a lot of people that showed up for that.
There were. And I think we decided there were about 100 spectators. And I do think that's fantastic for that first time out, especially a time trial. You really don't know what that is unless you're kind of into cycling.
Yeah.
So now we have video and photos and things to help tell that story for next year. So you see this growing.
I do. You see it continuing year after year and getting bigger.
I do. I definitely see us doing a better job of helping spectators get there. And additionally, we hope to bring that second stage of the race to Oro Valley Marana. So the entire race, we hope, will be in our region, which is super exciting. And that's very convenient for the riders as well.
Excellent. So let's talk a little bit about sustainability, the environment, cultural heritage, and how that kind of connects and relates to what it is you do in the tourism industry.
I feel like I'm talking a lot. Sorry, Kurt, but
No, this is better for you to talk.
Oh, no. Well, and I think you'll have opinions here too. But, at the end of the day, if we are headed up to one of our favorite trails in Marana and it's crowded and there's garbage and we hate the experience, that ruins tourism for us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that, because that ruins our own lives.
Right.
One of the amazing things about our outdoor opportunities is I really sell that as saguaros in solitude. You can find that here, right? You can go out there and appreciate the nature that we have to offer, and that's all thanks to Parks and Recreation, our amazing trail managers, the way that we have already built all of this infrastructure. Yes, we want to bring a lot of people in, but we have to make sure we don't hit that tipping point where it's no longer fun. You go to Sabino Canyon, you go to some of those other places, and it's crowded, and you're not happy with that.
Yeah.
We're an alternative. If you don't like the crowds, we're an alternative for you. We also have the Ironwood Forest. Mm-hmm. So many people are choosing Saguaro National Park. It's crowded. The wildflowers are popping right now, and all the parking lots are going to be very busy. Mm-hmm. They're also popping in the Ironwood, and there's no one there.
There you go.
So it's making sure people understand that that's also an opportunity for them. And you're going to drive right down through downtown Marana to get there. So please pick up some food on your way and support local business. So I think we can make it all work together. That's where strategy comes in, right? We do not want to be over-touristed. We do not want people to come here and no longer find that saguaros in solitude. But I think we've got enough space to do it. And to really be different. Again, different than Tucson, and that's not a bad thing for either of us, right? They have their amenities, we have ours.
I'm glad you brought that up, Stephanie, because there's a place further up north. I'm not going to mention the community, but it's up north here in Arizona, and my wife and I used to go there all the time. Just loved it. A beautiful place. But anymore, it's so crowded, I don't even like going. So we've had to find other beautiful places in Arizona, which is good, right? You get to see other places, so I think that's good. Kurt, I'm going to turn to you a minute because I something dawned on me while Stephanie was talking. With all the things that she does in tourism and the impact that can have to our community, how does that interrelate and connect to what you do as somebody who's in economic development and trying to draw businesses? Is that a hand in glove kind of thing? Great fit? I mean, obviously you guys work together, you're in the same department, but why are you in the same department and how does that fit together?
No, good point. People probably listening to this might think, okay, we're listening to someone in the tourism industry and we're listening to someone that's in economic development. How does that fit? Where are those dots connected? Tourism is the number one industry in the state of Arizona. The economic impact is to the tune of about $28 billion. For Southern Arizona...
Did you say billion?
That's with a B, yes.
$28 billion in Arizona alone?
Economic impact to Arizona alone. We've
Impressive.
identified about $150 to $200 million of economic impact to just the town of Marana every year. So those dollars translate into retail sales tax. They also translate into the bed tax. And those fund the types of operations and services that you need for a town, parks and recreation, police, water and wastewater, that type of thing. All of those taxes go to fuel that. We do not have a property tax here, so retail sales tax is very much important for our community. So I'm a numbers guy. I'm looking at how we can attract tourism to the town of Marana and how that translates into economic impact. And it makes very much sense for tourism to be within the economic development department.
Excellent. So let me ask you this then as a follow-up, Kurt. When you're out there and you're talking to various businesses and companies and trying to woo them and convince them that they should come to the town of Marana, does this, all the things that Stephanie's been talking about, and you talked about it too, the great golfing and the, Tortolita Preserve and the biking, hiking, all the outdoor stuff and amenities that we have here in great parks and nice roads and events like bike races. Are those things that appeal to a company, or is that just kind of, they don't care about that, they just want a piece of land to plop their building on and start? I mean...
Oh, absolutely. If we're recruiting, say, a national firm to do a relocate or an expansion into the Southwest, and Marana is competing for that company, Yes, they're looking at tax structure, they're looking at workforce development and what their pipeline will be for their employees, but they're bringing a fair number of their own employees from somewhere else and relocating to this area. What is the quality of life for the town of Marana that's competing for this project? Do they have the parks and recreation? Do they have great roads? Do they have great education, healthcare? What are our recreational opportunities? Can we be an outdoor type of person and live in the town of Marana? So it is crucial to the competition and to the recruitment of businesses and actually to the retention of businesses as well. If you've got a great community where you've kind of checked off all of those boxes, then they want to stay here. If there's a lot of broken windows and graffiti on other buildings, they're not going to be too interested. If you're cleaning the weeds out of your medians, then companies want to stay and companies want to come here. It's about that pride. It's about quality of life.
Excellent. Wow, that really does all fit together very well. That is very hand in glove. Great response and analysis of that. So let me. I'm going to finish up here with you, Stephanie. I know you've had the floor for a majority of this, but it is focused on tourism, which is your area of expertise. And so I want to ask you, what kind of upcoming events, projects, anything that you have coming up that you think our listeners would like to know about?
Yeah, I'm really excited about the opportunities in the event space that we're exploring. And I'm hoping that we have a contract signed pretty soon for a Baja event to be coming to a local farm property. So it's not going to be the town running this, but we brought this event here. And they tell us it will be about $1 million impact on the economy. So
describe a Baja event.
Yeah, so this is going to be students from colleges across the country who will build a little car that you can race out in the desert, but we'll of course have a controlled area for them. And we should see Tesla, SpaceX, and other really exciting employers coming to that same event.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm really excited. So that's in 2025. More bike races in 2025 as well. But, as I mentioned, we're really going to focus on the tourism master planning this year. Mm-hmm. And so we'll be talking a lot about that with the local residents.
So listeners, if you're paying attention here, Stephanie has now mentioned several times the tourism master plan and how important it is to get your input and your feedback. So don't miss the opportunity. There's going to be surveys out there. There's going to be focus groups. Lots of chances for you to provide what you think we here in the town of Marana need to drive tourism. So don't miss out on that opportunity. Stephanie, I'm going to ask you one more question. You've been here now for just over a year, right?
Right.
Yeah, just over
1
a year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I'm curious, tourism is not something you've done before in your career. But you're taking to it so wonderfully, and I'm curious what aspect of this job thus far in the first year has excited you the most.
Oh, it's the stories, and that's always going to be what's going to attract me to a job. Is what are the stories I'm going to help tell while I'm in my position. And we have so many stories in this community. And I know that's what Jill, the cultural heritage specialist, is also talking about. And at the end of the day, that's how you're connecting, is the storytelling. It's not necessarily about what we have to offer as place, but it's all the people who make up the place. And, when Kurt's talking about, do employers look at that are attracted to this community? They do. It is the power of the story. So I have really loved getting a chance to dig into those stories. There's so much more to come, but if you follow us on social media, you'll see those stories that we're already telling.
Very good. And it shouldn't surprise me as somebody who spent a career in television and news that telling stories would be something that would excite you. So we're certainly glad to have you on board and appreciate the job both you and Kurt are doing. Thank you, listeners, for being a part of this show. And until next time.
Submit your questions by visiting maranaaz.gov/realtalk and we'll answer them right here. To receive notifications for new releases, remember to click subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Also, please follow the town on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to stay up to date on current news and events.